Hi, I'm Kristin Davis, and I want to know, are you a Charlotte? We are here to recap episode 110. That's season 1, episode 10, called The Baby Shower.
I remember it.
It's a good one, and you're the perfect guest. I have the incredible Jenna Bush Hager. She, as you all probably know, hosts a whole hour of the Today Show now called The Today Show Today with Jenna and Friends.
Yes.
Which I was just on.
I know. I loved having you.
Amazing. And it's
so
always great
fun.
to see you. And I get to see you twice today, which is super exciting.
Totally.
And I do think you are the perfect person to talk about this episode, The Baby Shower, because this is a really interesting and kind of different episode. I mean, the first season, I don't know when you last have seen the beginning.
This is what's so crazy about Sex and the City is that they were like, okay, they're going to talk about this episode. And I was like, oh, is that the one where her shoes get stolen? Like, I've watched it a million times over the years.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how much we can remember. I'm like, I think it was in the suburbs. And they were like, I don't know. And then they were like, yes, you're right.
Yes, it's in the suburbs. I know. That is part of the reason I wanted to do the podcast, is that our writers were just so incredible and wrote so brilliantly about relationship things, about cultural elements of, aging. And like one of the things we really look at in this episode is the pressure on women. Do you want to become a mother? Do you not want to become a mother? That's a pretty big,
Yes.
issue and question for women in their 20s and 30s. And obviously our characters are mostly in their 30s, and Samantha's a little bit older and obviously has a very strong point of view. And it's very interesting to look at. And you would think that in the 27 or 28 years since this episode aired, things would have changed. But I don't really think they have.
No. I do have one really good friend who is comfortable saying she doesn't want kids.
Does she live here in Manhattan?
No, she lives in Texas.
Wow, good for her.
She lives in Texas.
I'm impressed.
And I think it was a lot to get there because there were pressures,
so much pressure
from society, but also from where she lives and from a lot of different places. And I was like, I feel like you just don't want to have kids, and that's okay. And she's like, yeah, but one, and I think the conversation is slightly changing, but you're right. We haven't come far enough.
No,
probably.
we really haven't. And the thing is, as someone, I'm a single mother, and there's a lot of pressure to be in a couple, right? But I think there's even more pressure to be a mother. Like, people look at you sideways if you get to a certain age and you're not a mother. It's really interesting. What I like about this episode, I like so many things about it. And I don't know if I told you earlier, like, I had not seen any of these shows since.
I know.
Yeah, since 1998.
So you've just started rewatching for the podcast?
Yeah. And a lot of it I don't remember. Some of it I do. Like, I have a pretty clear memory of this because we had to get in vans and drive out to
the suburbs.
I think Connecticut.
Yeah.
I think we're in Connecticut. I would have to check with someone, but it was a ways. And it's either Connecticut or Long Island somewhere.
Yes.
And we were out there at that house. I mean, it felt like for weeks. We didn't have that big of a budget to film for weeks, but we were out there for quite some time.
Yeah.
With all those ladies and children,
Oh my gosh, wild.
Very different. Very, very different.
Yeah.
So it was quite a departure. And when I look back on it from a writing perspective and a just executive producing of the show perspective, they were so bold to do it.
Yeah.
We weren't in the city.
Yes.
Mr. Big isn't even in the episode.
Yes.
There's
It was
really no
women
men
focused.
Right? Yeah, I mean, there's some men when we come back, but that's also kind of funny. Like, it's more a reaction to having been in this hotbed of motherness,
Yes.
right? Like, people act a little crazy when we get back to the city, but I love that they already had the kind of sense of, we can do this and we can do that. Because when you think about how the show develops,
Yes.
there would be really serious episodes, even though we're technically a comedy.
Yeah.
And there would be, kind of, we go to LA, we
Yes.
do this, we do that. I mean, I love that was kind of, there was a lot more happening in first season than I really realized.
Remembered, yeah.
I didn't remember it. And also at the time, my sense of it was that we were all over the place and that we didn't really know what we were doing.
Yes.
But I think that's really came to be our strength.
Yes.
That we were kind of open to different things and bolder, and HBO was allowing us, to try different stuff out, right?
Yes.
Which was super cool.
Yes.
I mean, I look back on it now and it's so much better than I thought it was.
I mean, don't you love that?
Yeah. Thank God. Wouldn't it be terrible if I look back and it wasn't?
But also that it does feel relevant even now. Like I was going to say the younger, but the next generation, that is watching it can see themselves in these women too.
Absolutely. Two girls at the airport yesterday said to me, oh, I watched this show when I was in my 20s and now I'm in my 30s. I understand it so much better and I relate to it so much more and it's so much more interesting. And I was like, that's cool. That's good. I mean, you could watch it at different times and have different ideas about what the characters are going through. And also just in terms of identifying yourself as a character.
Yes.
You can start out thinking like, I'm a Miranda, like Olivia Munn was saying to us today.
Yes.
And then later on, you're like, oh no, maybe I'm a Charlotte.
I was a Charlotte.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. That part of it, I think is fun. And also I love to see what has changed and what hasn't.
Yes.
One thing that has changed, and I'm sure you're going to have some thoughts on this, is New York.
Yeah.
Like when I look at the old show, I love that New York.
I know.
So different.
I lived in New York I was in school in Texas, but I lived in New York for the summer.
Oh, fun.
I know. I was taking classes like Shakespeare classes at NYU. And it was so fun.
Was it so magical?
It was magical. I also worked at a PR firm, which was like the best thing because I was like, oh, I hate PR.
PR is a thankless job.
I'm like, this is actually not something I want to do. And I thought that I was into it.
Right.
Because you don't even know what PR is.
You have no idea what they have to deal with.
Exactly. But that New York was so fun.
Yeah. What year was that?
That was like 2001.
Wow.
I mean, is that too late? Or is that too late? Am I?
No.
That was around
That was
the time.
a glorious summer.
Yeah.
That summer was like
what year did you, 27 years ago, what year did you guys start shooting?
We filmed our pilot in 97.
Okay.
Which is insane to think about.
Yes.
And then we didn't get picked up for a while. And so then when we did get picked up, we got picked up in 2008.
Oh, you weren't picked up until 2008?
Yeah. They took over a year to pick us up. Can you believe that?
Yeah. What were they thinking?
There was some behind the scenes brouhaha that is kind of boring, I think. And I don't totally know for a fact, so I shouldn't even say it. But HBO at the time was known for having boxing and movies.
Yes.
And
I remember that, which is
hilarious.
You
do? And they had a show called Dream On, where every week a different girl would be nude.
Huh.
Yeah. It
that
was
I don't remember.
You probably weren't watching it. I remember it as an actress because I was in LA auditioning for things and I was always like, oh my God, I can't audition for that.
Yeah.
But they didn't have female-driven things on HBO. And also in general, there were not shows where there were four leading women who were interesting in different characters.
I know. Was this the first?
I mean, I don't think it was the first because there's the Golden Girls, which people
my
love
favorite show
to
of all
compare
time.
us to. Yes, and obviously an incredible show in its own right, in its own way, because they were different. Obviously, multicam, blah blah blah. And I don't know how old those characters were meant to be.
They were meant to be in their 50s.
Oh, that's so painful.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that so crazy? We've talked about that before, Hoda and I, and we were like, what? That has changed. Don't you feel like aging has changed?
Thank God.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone.
No, we love those Golden Girls.
Of course.
They're living in a retirement community.
Jenna.
I know, sorry.
Traumatized.
Believe me, I know. It's crazy.
I can't even believe that.
I know.
I thought they were 80.
No, I know. Me too.
Oh my God. Well.
I know.
Okay, I'm going to recover.
I know. Recover.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, sometimes it's really good to remember these things because these are societal, pop culture things, elements, right? That are just part of the big picture of what society is kind of telling us to expect from our lives.
Yes.
And it's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's so important and it makes me so happy. I remember, and this is funny to say now, everyone looks at me sideways when I say this, but for me, I've been auditioning. I've been on Melrose Place and that was my big job. But then after that, I was auditioning.
Olivia and I have been talking all week about how obsessed.
What?
We're the same age and it's so fun when you have somebody that has the same point of reference of you.
Yeah.
But we were of that generation who would watch 90210 and then Melrose Place right after.
Yeah.
And my child just streams television. She's watched all of Grey's Anatomy. And I'm like, do you understand that we would wait for Thursday nights?
Like, no, they don't understand.
I know
they don't understand. What I was going to say about aging is that when we got the show, for me, it was this huge relief that the characters were in their 30s.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to lie anymore.
Yes. Because in Melrose Place, were you playing up? Is that, or I can't remember.
Did we even say how old Brooke was? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I feel like I was the same age as
20s,
most of those
late
people.
20, right?
Yeah, I think we were supposed to be in our 20s, and I feel like I was in my 20s.
Yes.
I remember when Melrose aired, we had a party. It was my birthday party, and I was turning 30.
Okay.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
I felt like I'm a success. I'm on television. I'm 30.
I did it.
It's going well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was very happy. But I remember it was like kind of unheard of that 4 women who were over 30 would be starting a television show about women in their 30s in Manhattan.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
And for us, we were like, yay, we don't have to lie anymore.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yes.
And now it's kind of, that's something that I do think has changed.
Yes,
because,
totally.
You know, people are working and working and working.
Totally.
And, you know, so many women, they were like, you know, women over 50 taking over the Oscars.
100%.
Right, as it should be.
We had such a theme in our show, sort of unintentionally, when Hoda was on, because Hoda just turned 60.
Yeah.
And all of these women would come as guests, including you. And the sort of common theme is it gets greater later.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, thank goodness, other people are catching on.
Thank God.
You know, culture and
yes. And I mean, that's part of the reason that we're doing it just like that is because there is this, sometimes Hollywood is slow in this way of not greenlighting or not even, I mean, honestly, I don't even know what was being pitched, right? Because I'm not in every office all the time. But I know for us, you know, everyone thought, well, of course they did. And just like that. No, there was no of course. Like we had to go in there and pitch it. Michael Patrick had to have ideas.
Yes.
Sarah Jessica had to go with him.
Yes.
We had to really convince them like this is important. We need to do it.
Yeah.
These are the characters, of course. But like they were like, well, what's the story? You know, and the story is that your life keeps going.
Yes.
And it's more interesting and different things happen and you have to deal with different things. And they're maybe hard or maybe not hard, like all the different things, right? But why shouldn't we be telling those stories?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Let's talk about the baby shower.
Okay, let's go back.
But I could talk to you about
I
all
know.
these things.
Like,
I know.
Keep
okay,
going.
this is what's fun about the baby shower. We begin with Carrie getting the invitation.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fancy, like a wedding invitation, which I think is interesting. And then we show everyone's reaction. And of course, Samantha, Miranda, not very into it. They don't even want to go. Now, apparently this woman, Lainey, who is pregnant and having the baby shower in Connecticut, used to be a party girl.
Yes.
And all of us know her. And her claim to fame, which is bizarre, is that she would strip at parties.
So funny.
I know, it's so funny. And also, like, this is when I also kind of laugh at us in terms of, you know, we're super casual about it. You know, like, oh, yes, and this is what she'd do. She'd just stand up at parties and just take off her clothes.
Totally.
And then it does show a flashback, which I'm not in. And I remember being so jealous that I couldn't be in this flashback because I think it's early 90s. Sarah Jessica's wearing a pink cowboy hat. A pink one.
Yeah, I get what.
Samantha's got some big, like weirdly spiky hair. I mean, it's super funny. Charlotte, I guess, is just like off with some preppy girls.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I really wish I had been in that scene when they flash back to the pre-married Lainey.
When she was there.
Yes, taking off the clothes. And I mean, Carrie does look horrified, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, Samantha, at a certain point too, which I think is interesting, they do say something about Samantha being insecure, which I don't really think that you would describe Samantha as insecure. But I think what it is that Lainey was kind of in her same, wheelhouse.
She's like, wait, who is this girl taking her clothes off?
Right.
Yes.
And is she doing more than I'm doing?
Yeah.
And do I want to do that? Do I not want to do that? Which I think is super interesting because we don't see Samantha like that very often.
No.
Right? So that's interesting.
Yes.
It's an interesting through line for her. But so this Lainey friend, and I do think it's also interesting in the beginning of the show, there's all these kind of peripheral characters, but we seem to somehow know them all really well.
Totally.
Like everyone, you know,
Totally.
like even that we haven't gotten into it, but that Charlotte would tell this Lainey person her secret baby name. Okay, when, how,
Yeah,
at
exactly.
a party? Like, what? Okay. I mean, on the other hand, I love it that they just drop us in.
Totally.
They don't explain anything.
Totally.
It's super interesting.
Totally. It was before we needed all the information.
Is that right? Do you think?
Well, yeah, because now it's like you talk about something and you're like, wait, Google that and let's find out who it is.
That's a good point.
And we have all the back information about
point.
everything. This was in the time.
So true.
Like probably right when internet was, before social
barely,
media,
yeah.
barely
No
internet.
social media.
Where we're not like Googling every last detail.
Right.
So our attention span, you could drop us in.
That's true. And I think Michael Patrick has said that he felt that the exposition was not that interesting and that when you did move to New York, you were just in life with these people. You weren't finding out where they were from and what all the things, you know what I mean? You were just like at the place with them.
Yeah, and we didn't have that much time to set that all up.
So true.
How long
it
were
would
the
have been
episodes?
Boring. The episodes are 22 minutes.
That's what I mean.
Which is insane. Yeah, I know. And we get a lot done, which is really
true.
fun.
The writing is so good.
No, they're so good. I mean, that's really the secret to our whole success. But I think that's a boring answer for people, so they gloss over it. But it is the truth. Okay, so everyone has their different reaction. Miranda, Samantha don't even want to go, which is funny. Of course, Charlotte wants to go because I guess we haven't fully said. Other than there's an early episode where Carrie's dating the marrying guy.
Oh, yeah.
Then she decides it's not for her. She was trying him on and maybe he would be good for me.
Yes.
I go out with him until we go shopping at Bergdorf and I don't like his china pattern that he likes, which really makes me laugh. Okay. So we are seeing the beginnings of what is going to turn into Charlotte really getting didactic about getting married.
Yes.
But they're not totally, we didn't start with that.
By the way, how interesting that you were so different than than the character you played.
Oh, yeah.
Like opposite.
I was opposite in many ways. I mean,
as far as at least the
married part, the traditional part. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know. It's an interesting thing. So we have all these different reactions. Then we get ready to go and we've rented a car and the three of them are there wearing the most 90s sunglasses I've ever seen in my life. And Samantha brings a bottle of scotch. Miranda brings condoms, which is like so insane. And Carrie brings nothing. And this is one of my most favorite moments that I definitely remember from the early season. I come running around the corner with the Bellini baby basket and they made it as big as possible. And this was a real thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember the Bellini baby basket, all the Bellini products. And it's like this big and a baby's supposed to sleep in there, which is also weird and funny. And I'm running and the things are like jiggling and funny. And then we all get in the car and no one sits in the driver's seat and they say, I think Carrie says, can anyone drive? Or maybe Samantha, can anyone drive? Which is also pretty funny.
So New York.
And we have so many callbacks to that as time goes on in terms of we go to LA and there's a whole stress about who's going to drive and then Carrie drives, but then it doesn't go that great. I mean, so many different funny things. But, this is so early. So we go out there. Charlotte is immediately welcomed into the mom club because I've got the Bellini baby baskets, my ticket into the mom club. The others are like on the side drinking and complaining basically the whole time. But then we find out also that Carrie, I think in the voiceover, we found out that Carrie's period is late, which is a really interesting tie-in.
Yes.
And I think so relevant to life in your, 20s and 30s in a way. And also her relationship with Big is pretty new.
Yeah.
So she doesn't even tell him.
No.
Which I think makes perfect sense. And she doesn't tell him. And she says, she's so smart. And I know people sometimes think she's not so smart, but I don't get that. But she's, she says, I'm going to ask him or I'm going to tell, and then she can't finish the sentence. And then she says, I realize I'm not going to talk to him about it until I can finish the sentence.
Yes.
So smart.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Like be able to think about what you want to say before you actually say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even, go get a test or anything till later.
Yeah.
But I think being at the baby shower and like at one point there are all these kids running around the yard and they shoot her with a BB gun thingy or whatever, a Nerf gun. So she's, it's a lot of children. She's like, I better find out later. But I love that storyline and I love the way that they tie it in. And I love the fact that it's so early in the relationship with Big that, she doesn't even know. And then there's a lot of conversations where she, mostly with Miranda, talks about, do I even want kids? Am I maternal?
Yeah.
Like when they go to the drugstore, she literally says, do you think I could be a good mother?
Yeah.
And Miranda looks really nervous, like she's not sure.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes what's hard for me to be objective about is I know Sarah Jessica, who's super maternal.
Yeah.
So I was always like, of course.
Yeah.
But maybe I just wasn't really able, to
disassociate the character from the actor.
Exactly. Because I get it when I look back.
Yes.
She's out and about and, knows
and
everyone.
She's career focused too.
Yes. Like we were saying. Yes. I mean, it's super interesting. There's so many interesting things. There's so many interesting things that are said. And okay, wait, let's talk about the baby name because it's really funny. Just recently, I guess on TikTok and or Instagram, there's been this whole sound about this man saying, "My Shayla." Have you heard this?
What is that?
Okay, it's on my Instagram if anyone would like to see it. I don't know where it came from, but it is, the baby name that is much discussed in this episode.
Yes.
So I did it and people loved it. When you do you act it out.
For it. Yeah.
Yes. I don't understand the man who's doing it, but he's really funny. And I don't know if it came from the show. I'm perplexed.
Yeah.
But sometimes little pieces of things come out in ways that are just amazing.
Yeah, totally.
Totally. So when we're sitting there, also I need to mention this. At one point, how at a baby shower, there's a tradition, I don't know if you did this, where you take all the bows from all the packages and you
make
put them
something
on your head.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you do this?
No, my water broke at my baby shower.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a TV show.
No, I know.
What did you do?
I went to the hospital.
Did everyone panic?
Everybody panicked, and they called my husband, who was with some of the other guys.
Having like a guy thing.
Having a beer on the corner. We were here in New York on the, we lived here on the rooftop somewhere nearby. It was like April.
Wow.
So it was beautiful. And 12 years ago and 2 weeks, my daughter's about to have her birthday.
Oh, that's nice.
And they called and they said, and everybody was laughing because it was shocking. And there was only one man in the room and it was the caterer. And he threw paper towels at us and then walked out of the door. He was just like, I cannot deal with this.
Oh my God.
And it was, what was even more comedic about it is we were in a circle.
Like
I was opening presents.
Right.
And my friend goes, oh my gosh, she's about to have that baby right here. My stomach made a weird movement.
Oh my God.
Which I guess is what happened.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Okay.
And this has only happened with my first child. And then my water broke in front of every single person sitting, and everybody's reaction was so different. Like somebody cried because they were pregnant and they were like, just horrified.
They just had and they had so much feeling.
They had so much feeling.
Yeah.
Other people were dying laughing. So when they called and they
laughing.
said, well, it was kind of funny.
Okay.
Because also I was like, what is happening? But they called my husband and Barbara, my sister, and I have a twin sister.
Right.
We played so many pranks on him over the years.
Oh no.
That he did not believe. Like he thought this was like a funny thing girls were doing. God. And also he'd been to the doctor with me the day before where they were like, you have 6 more weeks.
What?
So he just was the thought. And then there was a producer that works on our show, still now works on our show, who I've known all these years, 12 years later, who is so lovely and earnest and kind. And her husband was with her, Henry, my husband. And she called and she's like, dang,
no, it's real.
This is real. And he was like, listen, her husband was like, I know Barbara and Jenna can lie, but Carrie cannot. So you need to go to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't think we put the bow on her head.
Got it. You didn't get to that. I fully understand. I'm not sure people still do that.
No, I feel like it was more, I kind of remember
it was a thing, but I just don't know if it still happens.
Probably not.
So for some reason, Charlotte also manages to get a bow on her head, which I really think I probably had something to do with because it is one of my favorite pictures. It's very funny. I also think because Charlotte just really would like to be part of this club. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then Lainey has a huge amount of bows on her head, at which point one of her friends says, oh, little Shayla is going to love blah, 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 whatever gift it was. And I'm like, what? And kind of a big reaction for young Charlotte. And I stand up like, that is my secret baby name that I told you. She's like, well, I'm just really sorry. I don't remember. And this is such an unfair thing that I'm about to say, but I back then would have a lot of trouble separating the actor from the part, right?
Yeah.
So like later on when Big has Natasha, like when I've said this to Bridget, I'm like, I'm really sorry. I just really couldn't
like look you in the eyes.
Yeah, I just couldn't like
you thought she was
on
actually
your
a bad
side.
person.
I know.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But luckily I can tell her that. But also with Dana Wheeler Nicholson, who played this part of Lainey, I was just like, mad. I was very mad.
Yo, K-pop fans, it's your boy Bomhan, and I'm bringing you something epic. Introducing The K-Factor, the podcast that takes you straight into the heart of K-pop. We're talking music reviews, exclusive interviews, and deep dives into the industry like never before. From producers and choreographers to idols and trainees, we're bringing you the real stories behind the music that you love. And yeah, we're keeping it 100, discussing everything from comebacks and concepts to the mental health side of the business. Because K-pop isn't just a genre, it's a whole world, and we're exploring every corner of it. And here's the best part. Fans get to call in, drop opinions, and even join us live at events. You never know where we might pop up next. So listen to The K-Factor starting on April 16 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Are you ready? Let's go.
Are your ears bored?
Yeah. Are you looking for a new podcast that will make you laugh, learn, and say ¿qué?
Yeah. Then tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10 today. Okay.
I'm Diosa,
I'm Mala,
the host of Locatora Radio, a radiophonic novela.
which is just a very extra way of saying a podcast. We're launching this season with a mini-series, Totally Nostalgic, a 4-part series about the Latinos who shaped pop culture in the early 2000s.
It's Lala checking in with all things Y2K, 2000s. My favorite memory, honestly, was us having our own media platforms like Mundos and MTV3. You could turn on the TV, you see Thalia, you see J-Lo, Nina Sky, Evie Queen, all the girlies doing their things, all of the beauty reflected right back at us. It was everything.
Tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10.
Now that's what I call a podcast. Listen to Locatora Radio Season 10 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Israel Gutierrez, and I'm hosting a new podcast, Dub Dynasty, the story of how the Golden State Warriors have dominated the NBA for over a decade.
The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions.
From the building of the core that included Klay Thompson and Draymond Green to one of the boldest coaching decisions in the history of the sport.
I just felt like the biggest thing was to earn the trust of the players and let the players know that we were here to try to help them take the next step, not tear anything down.
Today, the Warriors dynasty remains alive, in large part because of a scrawny 6'2" hooper who everyone seems to love.
For what Steph has done for the game, he's certainly on that Mount Rushmore for guys that have changed it.
Come revisit this magical Warriors ride. This is Dub Dynasty.
The Dubs dynasty is still very much alive.
Listen to Dub Dynasty on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. I'm excited to introduce a brand new season of my podcast, Math and Magic, Stories from the Frontiers of Marketing. I'm having conversations with some interesting folks across a wide range of industries to hear how they reach the top of their fields and the lessons they learned along the way that everyone can use. I'll be joined by innovative leaders like Chairman and CEO of Health Beauty, Tarang Amin.
The way I approach risk is constantly try things and actually make it okay to fail.
I'm sitting down with legendary singer-songwriter and philanthropist Jewel.
I wanted a way to do something that I loved for the rest of my life.
We're also hearing how leaders brought their businesses out of unprecedented times, like Stefan Bancel, CEO of Moderna.
It becomes a human decision to decide to throw by the window your business strategy and to do what you think is the right thing for the world.
Join me as we uncover innovations in data and analytics, the math, and the ever-important creative spark, the magic. Listen to Math and Magic, Stories from the Frontiers of Marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast.
In 1978, Roger Caron's first book was published, and he was unlike any first-time author Canada had ever seen.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years in jail.
12 years in solitary.
He went from an ex-con to a literary darling almost overnight.
He was instantly a celebrity.
He was an adrenaline junkie, and he was the star of the show.
Go Boy is the gritty true story of how one man fought his way out of some of the darkest places imaginable.
I had a knife go in my stomach, puncture my spleen, break my rib. I had my guts all in my hands.
Only to find himself back where he started.
Roger's saying is, I've never hurt anybody but myself. And I said, oh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong on that one, Rod.
From Campside Media and iHeart Podcasts, listen to Go Boy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So I jump up and I say, that's my secret baby name. And I did tell you. And she's like, I just don't remember. And then Samantha comes in so ready to protect me. It's so cute.
Yeah, I love that.
And she's like, you bitch. And we stomp off, which is adorable. And we go to a bar, which is so perfect. And really funny. And I don't really remember, like, we're at some Irish bar, like wherever.
Somewhere. Yeah, wherever you were.
Wherever we were, Connecticut, Long Island. I don't know where we were. And we drink. And I go to the bathroom when I'm gone, and this is kind of heartbreaking in a way. Carrie doesn't want to tell me that she's late with her period, so they talk about it while I'm gone. Kind of sad. And then I come back.
Because she doesn't want to make you feel bad, though, right? Because she
think
knows.
So. And also, I think they don't know what I might say.
Yeah.
You know, that I'd say something like, you have to have it in my naive kind of a way or whatever. Which I can totally see.
Yeah.
Even though as time goes on, I say every woman can make her own choice.
Totally.
Yeah, I choose my choice, which is about many things, obviously. But at that point, I think because the three of them are very much like, well, two of them are like, we don't want that. Carrie's like, I'm not sure what I want. And I'm like, I want to have babies and get married, which is interesting. And I know it's different, but I do feel like there are groups of friends where people want different things.
100%.
Right? Like you don't have to always be with the people who want the same thing.
No, you don't want that'd be boring.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're super interesting and fascinating. And also Charlotte is into her job at the gallery. It's not like she only
one note.
Yeah. Right?
No, exactly.
Thank you, Jenna.
Exactly.
Because different people are, and back in the day too, people would be like, why is Charlotte friends with them? And I'd be like, what? Why not?
Yeah,
Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but you had other friends. Don't you like how I say you? Charlotte did.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I just can't even say the right name.
I know.
You know what I mean?
But
So
Charlotte
Carrie,
did have other, like,
kind of, but not really.
Her besties were there, but right?
One time later on, we do see these girls that she went to Smith with.
Oh, yeah.
She goes to a brunch with them, and she realizes, to her horror, that she is now the Samantha of that group.
How wild is that?
It's a fascinating scene, yes. And I drink too much, and then I throw money at them. I don't know why exactly. We'll have to look
pay
back
for the
at that.
tip?
Or I guess. I don't really know.
Yeah.
They make me mad for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to find out when we get there.
I can't
know
wait.
it is wild. I mean, Charlotte has had quite a development, which is a good thing, obviously, as an actor and,
Yeah, she evolves just like humans do.
Absolutely, as have the others, right? And I do think it's, one of my favorite things when they go back to the city, they're kind of having like a reaction to being in this mommy club thing.
Yes.
They go back to the city and Samantha has a I don't have a baby party, which is so hysterical. And also reminds me, do you remember when Carrie later on, and I think this is when her shoes might get stolen. I'm not sure. She has this one she has to take her shoes off. Anyway, she has a party that for her own engagement or whatever. Like I'm engaged to me.
Yes.
So that she can get gifts.
Oh, yes. Exactly. Oh, she's like a registrar or something.
Yes. It's hysterical.
Yes.
Like I love that we took on all these kind of, like traditions.
Yes.
And that are not really fair to everybody.
To women.
Yeah. And like I'll put you under pressure and, expectations and whatnot. And somehow also hold you up like this is your choice or whatever. I think Samantha even says at one point, like she's trying to say that she's worthy by having a baby. Like she's, which is really interesting
Yes.
and I think does happen.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yes, totally.
Which is sad.
I know.
Like that's not why you have a baby.
No. But people do, I think, or just feel like it's part of the pressures of being a woman.
And it 100% is part of the pressures of being a woman. And
But
that's
it's
why.
not our worth.
No, it's not our worth. And I mean, then, and this is coming up too in a big way, because what Carrie's dealing with would be, who am I? You know, if I were to be pregnant and have Big's baby, whether we're together or not, like, will I give up who I really am? Has Lainey given up who she is? Because then we get back to the city and Lainey calls Carrie and she's like, we should get together. And Carrie's like, oh, I'm sorry, I've got to go. I'm going to Samantha's party. She's like, Samantha's having a party. And then she shows up there with her pregnant self.
Yes.
And she wants to strip off her clothes.
I mean, that's hilarious.
And it's just so uncomfortable.
Yes.
And everyone at the party just looks mortified.
Well, it's like, you're like, Lainey. And that also, think about that, what that says about women too, is that as soon as they become pregnant, there's somebody else.
Right.
You know
And they're
what I
not
mean?
sexual and they're not fun.
Yes.
And like you're just a different person, which is so unfair.
Yeah.
But also it is a huge life change.
Yes, it is. It
For
is.
sure.
It is.
For sure.
Yeah.
But she tries to get up on this, like, it's like a coffee table, I guess, or like a stuffed thing, but it's big. And she's so pregnant. And I remember us being really nervous, even though she wasn't pregnant. We were really nervous. Do you know what I mean? And all of us are horrified as well. But literally every person in the party is horrified. And luckily she can't do it and she gets down. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. But it gets Carrie all in her head about, what if I was pregnant? A, what would I do? B, am I maternal? C, who would I be?
Yeah.
Because I've just been career.
Yes.
And then at a certain point, she goes to, I believe they're in Central Park and the trees are blooming. It's just so glorious.
Mm-hmm.
And she's at like one of the little side, playground parks. And she's watching all the little kids and they're adorable. And of course they pick this kid who has hair like Sarah Jessica's color, comes over and like, plays around her feet. And the mom's like, sorry. And she's like, no, she's adorable. And it's the cutest scene. And Sarah Jessica's so, so good in it. And it's what I love about it. And again, I just don't remember this happening in television shows. I think it was more of kind of a film thing that you could have moments where the lead character is just in silence. And that I think she's got some voiceover, but she's also just sitting watching. And that wasn't something that you used to really see
on television.
Yeah. And it made us feel, number one, like you could really get inside Carrie's mind. And the voiceover, of course, helped. But also like that you could really, it had some space to think about the ideas, which I think were so central to the writing and to the whole development of the show, these ideas. And it let the viewer think, yeah, what do I think? Would Carrie be a good mother? Would I be a good mother? Do I want to be, it let you also have the experience.
Like the space to think.
And I remember that being something that Sarah Jessica also kind of pushed and stood up for ongoingly. Like we need to remember that she's got to have time to be processing, because it would always start with the question, like, I wonder, blah, 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 made me think about blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then like she's trying to work through it too.
Yes.
She's not just theoretically thinking about it. She's like, where do
It's
I
a whole
fit in?
episode. It's like the thesis of what she's going through.
Yep. And eventually those theses became what we were all going through.
Yes, exactly.
But that hasn't
Not at the
quite
beginning.
come into play yet. Exactly. And I do feel like she looks at the camera once or twice in this episode. What did you think about that? People have very mixed feelings.
About her breaking the third wall, basically. I mean, I can't, that did not bother me, but did it stop? I remember it at the beginning. Did it stop halfway through?
It does stop, but it's weird. It comes back all of a sudden.
Oh,
and
does
you're like,
it?
oh my God, it's happening again.
I mean, I remember when she would do it. I remember.
Yeah.
But then I feel like it became less frequent.
Yes, for sure. And then we also had, the people on the street who would talk, which also became less frequent. But that it's kind highly entertaining.
And at the first season, I remember that it kind of gave you slight. It was kind of like Law and Order vibes for some reason. Do you know what I mean? Like at the very beginning of Law and Order, where there's the person that's like, and you're like, are they going to be part of this anymore? And it was just like, because that was always like the person on the street was not even an integral part of the
Do you mean the person who gets killed?
Yes. I do.
In the prologue?
At the very prologue,
oh my God,
where it's
that
not
is so
even
true.
what the show is about.
That is so
do you know what
true.
I mean?
I do know what you mean.
And then when you'd have the person on the street look at the camera and say something, it would never have been somebody.
No,
Wouldn't have been like a Lainey. Do
Right?
you know what I mean?
It's not.
like an
no,
extra.
yeah, no, it's someone else.
Yeah.
It's actors who were hired. And as I think Jenny Bix, who was our first female writer who joined, told me, it was so much work production wise because the casting people would have to cast them, hair, makeup, all wardrobe, and then we would have to set up different shots. Like it would be a whole day of that.
Oh gosh,
which we didn't really have time for. You know, so from that perspective, it was hard. I think that I've met a lot of people who enjoy it, which really surprised me. Because for us, we just want to get rid of it.
Sort of, right?
It was a little campy, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes also I think it was a little campy because they would give those people the most extreme things.
Well, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Where like the moms at the bridal baby shower do it, where they're like, I tell my son every day that he's the best. I mean, that actually might be part of a scene, that he's amazing and he rules the world. I tell him every day. And then she walks away and Miranda's like, I wonder if any woman is ever going to be able to please that man when he's grown. And you're like, I know. And then like another woman's like, you know, I just love to play, and then I go in the closet and I drink. I can't remember what she says. But you know, the more extreme.
But they are, like, of course, because otherwise they're like the comical sort of
Yes. And also,
satires.
I mean, I do think it's true that there's going to be a huge variety of people on the subject matter.
Thinking different things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which that part was interesting.
Yeah.
But I think because we didn't get to develop those characters, it's not that interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why we do eventually get rid of it.
Yes, exactly.
So we go, I love the scene. They go to the drugstore to buy the pregnancy test, Miranda and Carrie. And I always love Miranda and Carrie together. And I hadn't really realized this entire through line also, like, they really have these deep talks.
Yeah.
The two of them.
Yeah.
The whole time since the beginning.
Yeah.
That they don't really have with the rest of us.
Yeah.
Not in the same way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true.
And they're so different. And I think that Miranda really is more, I don't know, straightforward, tells it like it is to Carrie than the rest of us. Obviously, Charlotte is always like cheerleader.
Yes. Yeah. And going to say sort of what she wants to hear, right?
Yeah, and positive. Like just trying to always put the positive on it.
Yes.
And then Samantha might just be like, oh no, you know, she just might be like, don't do that or, no, like cut to the negative. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Like more dismissive.
Or almost like cynical or whatever. Like, no, that's not going to work out, you know. And then Miranda's just kind of in the middle, but very accurate. Like she really knows her well, which I think is also really such a great writing, you know, that they wrote them so early on.
And to think about those dynamics separately as well as a whole.
Absolutely. And back in this time, and this is also what I love about this episode, all four of us are together for most of the episode, which I love because we didn't even have the coffee shop set yet, right? So we had little restaurant scenes that are actually in little restaurants, but not every episode, which that hadn't kind of gelled yet either. But this particular episode, we're all there, and then we all go to the bar, and then we all go to Samantha's I Don't Have a Baby party, which I think is adorable and hilarious. And then Lainey comes, we're all mortified. And then Miranda starts making out with Samantha's accountant. But I mean, the thing that's fascinating to me, and this is part of the reason I did the podcast, is that the topics that we used way back then in 1998 are still relevant and interesting, right? That was part of the reason that I thought, yes, we can do a podcast and we can talk about that and how it's changed or how it hasn't changed or how does this feel to women now or men or anybody, right? It's super interesting. And then some of the things really haven't changed. And I did feel also like there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we didn't used to talk about, partly because there was no social media.
Yeah.
I don't think people were necessarily as interested in how we made film and TV, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you.
And we always felt like we might seem like we were complaining if we talked about the fact that we were up all night all the time, because we were up all night all the time.
Yes.
Because that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
And we didn't ever want people to see us as complaining, right? Because we were so thrilled to have our job. our job was like no other
best.
job.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And we knew that,
Yeah.
So we didn't want to be like, oh, we're so tired. We thought that would be bad, like bad form, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, now I feel like everyone knows so much more about how things are made. And, you'll have people out filming when you're,
totally.
filming.
Like,
they're
I feel
filming
like
you
we've
filming.
even shown pictures of y'all filming. We've seen it.
I know.
Which you would never have seen that the first time.
No.
Right?
Oh, no. First of all, it was 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Second of all,
Nobody
the
was taking
paparazzi didn't come and the fans didn't come. I mean, the movies is when.
Yes.
No.
Towards the end.
Sarah Jessica got pregnant. That was when things changed.
Okay.
And that was so frightening and scary.
Yeah.
That was when there was no sense from the magazines that maybe it was inappropriate to chase a pregnant woman around
terrible.
town. I know. It was very scary to watch. And they would sit with us for, 14 hours. Like, it was nuts.
Do you feel like that's gotten better?
I do. Don't want to say too much, but there's like a few people around town who can be like, I think, was it last season? 2 paparazzi, maybe second season of And Just Like That, 2 paparazzi got in a fist fight over their positioning to be photographing us during a scene.
Yeah.
Like,
and you guys were like, we got to also focus on our job.
Right. We need to get through the shot.
Yeah.
We need to get the shot. We need to not run over you guys. I mean, they're clearly
when it
in
gets
our
to be
eye line,
unsafe,
I
I know.
And then if there's like fisticuffs, you're just
like, oh my gosh.
what is going on, people?
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, we are kind of used to it in a really weird way. I'll tell you what does worry me though, is that sometimes the fans, like Sarah Jessica and I had a walk and talk towards the end, and our production value now is like
So
way
good.
up here.
Yeah.
And back at the beginning, it was not. I mean, we did a lot with a little, do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But we used a lot of handheld cameras and Steadicam.
Yeah,
and
isn't
like
that
even just
crazy?
on the shoulder, totally crazy. And we would just wheel these lights down the street.
Oh my God,
I mean,
I
it was
love that.
insane, right? But now we have huge cranes, right?
And everything's beautifully lit and all
Thank
the things.
you. Thank you. We try. And Michael Patrick feels very strongly about that. He feels like the fans expect that and he wants to give that to the fans.
Because part of it is so visual, right? Like, and
Absolutely.
especially in the movies too.
I think the movies changed the game for us and it's hard to go back.
Yeah.
We had this fantasy that when we came back for And Just Like That we would just be like guerrilla filmmaking like we used to be at the beginning. I don't know what we were thinking.
Yeah, it can't be like
it
that.
has not been like that.
Yeah.
But we try to do our best. But sometimes we don't walk very fast because we've got the crane and the crane can only move so fast.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing somebody a fan watching and saying like, I'm so disappointed. I thought they were walking so much faster. And I want to be like, well, when it's cut together, it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Don't ruin it for yourself.
Yes.
And also they didn't know what we're talking about. We're talking about something serious.
Yeah.
So we're kind of a little more contemplative.
Slow and
Right. But like, you don't want to ruin it for the viewers.
Yeah.
That's what I worry about now.
Yes.
Like, is it
that there'll
too
be
much?
A storyline or something. I remember there was like some photo that everybody completely obsessed over, and now I can't even remember what it was.
Right. Well,
but
that's
like
how it
something,
happens.
like it was Carrie with some man or something.
Right.
Maybe Aiden was back. Is Aiden back?
Oh, yeah, babe.
Oh, that was it.
You got to catch up.
That was it.
Aiden's back, baby.
Is it? Can you? Or your no? Is it?
I can't tell you anything. He was back, and now he's kind of gone.
Oh.
I
do need to catch up.
You
I
gotta
watched
watch
the whole first season, which I was obsessed with.
If you like the first season, you'll really
I'm
like
gonna
the
love the
second
next. I
season,
need
and
to
the
see
third
it.
season's coming soon.
Okay, good.
That's adorable. Yeah, Aiden's back. Yeah, I'm not giving anything away.
Okay, good.
Aiden
when
came
I said
back.
that, I was like, "Am I giving something away?"
Yeah, no, Aiden came back, and then Aiden left again.
Sad.
And no,
okay, watch.
Just watch, because there are photographs out there. So I don't think that I'm telling anything I shouldn't be telling.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, also the funny thing is sometimes Michael Patrick, who is the one who sometimes really wants us to keep secrets, he writes these scenes that are on the street.
I know. We're trying to keep a secret, but this is going to get
there's
out.
A lot of people here.
Yeah.
We'll
try.
Many people. And John Corbett is very, very tall.
Totally.
Okay? No one's going to miss him.
Totally.
Out on the street. He is there in all his glory. But it's great, interesting storyline involving, I'm not going to give anything away. I don't think that was not in season 2, parenting and divorce and kind of, things that we have to deal with
Okay,
at this
good.
age.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I hope you like it.
I will, for
I
sure.
can't wait to hear.
Yo, K-pop fans, it's your boy Bomhan, and I'm bringing you something epic. Introducing The K-Factor, the podcast that takes you straight into the heart of K-pop. We're talking music reviews, exclusive interviews, and deep dives into the industry like never before. From producers and choreographers to idols and trainees, we're bringing you the real stories behind the music that you love. And yeah, we're keeping it 100, discussing everything from comebacks and concepts to the mental health side of the business. Because K-pop isn't just a genre, it's a whole world, and we're exploring every corner of it. And here's the best part. Fans get to call in, drop opinions, and even join us live at events. You never know where we might pop up next. So listen to The K-Factor starting on April 16 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Are you ready? Let's go.
Are your ears bored?
Yeah. Are you looking for a new podcast that will make you laugh, learn, and say ¿qué?
Yeah. Then tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10 today. Okay.
I'm Diosa.
I'm Mala.
The host of Locatora Radio, a radiophonic novela.
Which is just a very extra way of saying a podcast. We're launching this season with a mini-series, Totally Nostalgic. A 4-part series about the Latinos who shaped pop culture in the early 2000s.
It's Lala checking in with all things Y2K, 2000s. My favorite memory, honestly, was us having our own media platforms like Mundos and MTV3. You could turn on the TV, you see Thalia, you see J-Lo, Nina Sky, Evie Queen, all the girlies doing their things, all of the beauty reflected right back at us. It was everything.
Tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10.
Now that's what I call a podcast. Listen to Locatora Radio Season 10 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Israel Gutierrez, and I'm hosting a new podcast, Dub Dynasty, the story of how the Golden State Warriors have dominated the NBA for over a decade.
The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions.
From the building of the core that included Klay Thompson and Draymond Green to one of the boldest coaching decisions in the history of the sport.
I just felt like the biggest thing was to earn the trust of the players and let the players know that we were here to try to help them take the next step, not tear anything down.
Today, the Warriors dynasty remains alive, in large part because of a scrawny 6'2" hooper who everyone seems to love.
For what Steph has done for the game, he's certainly on that Mount Rushmore for guys that have changed it.
Come revisit this magical Warriors ride. This is Dub Dynasty.
The Dubs Dynasty is still very much alive.
Listen to Dub Dynasty on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 1978, Roger Caron's first book was published, and he was unlike any first-time author Canada had ever seen.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years in jail.
12 years in solitary.
He went from an ex-con to a literary darling almost overnight.
He was instantly a celebrity.
He was an adrenaline junkie, and he was the star of the show.
Go Boy is the gritty true story of how one man fought his way out of some of the darkest places imaginable.
I had a knife go in my stomach, puncture my spleen, break my rib. I had my guts all in my hands.
Only to find himself back where he started.
Roger's saying is, I've never hurt anybody but myself. And I said, oh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong on that one, Rod.
From Campside Media and iHeart Podcasts, listen to Go Boy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. I'm excited to introduce a brand new season of my podcast, Math and Magic, Stories from the Frontiers of Marketing. I'm having conversations with some interesting folks across a wide range of industries to hear how they reach the top of their fields and the lessons they learned along the way that everyone can use. I'll be joined by innovative leaders like Chairman and CEO of Health Beauty, Tarang Amin.
The way I approach risk is constantly try things and actually make it okay to fail.
I'm sitting down with legendary singer-songwriter and philanthropist Jewel.
I wanted a way to do something that I loved for the rest of my life.
We're also hearing how leaders brought their businesses out of unprecedented times, like Stefan Bancel, CEO of Moderna.
It becomes a human decision to decide to throw by the window your business strategy and to do what you think is the right thing for the world.
Join me as we uncover innovations in data and analytics, the math, and the ever-important creative spark, the magic. Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast.
I wanted to ask you too, and this is kind of, you don't have to answer these, but I'm super curious your thought.
Yeah.
Because of the way that we talk about motherhood in this episode, and obviously I wasn't even thinking about these things at the time that we filmed it, right? But now, many, many, many years later, and I've got 2 kids I adopted and love so much.
Yeah.
But also it is really hard to still have a job. Like the whole having it all is really hard.
Yeah.
But our characters are before that.
Yes.
But also contemplating, could I possibly do both or not do both? And I was just curious if you had thoughts on that topic, or like giving up your other life.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously you can't have it. I think the idea that having it all is sort of, first of all, nobody's asking like my husband that. People aren't asking men.
Good point.
If we're giving up things for jobs, you know?
Yes.
I had like
even still in 2025.
Yeah, no, nobody's asking that.
No.
And we're talking more about like fair play. And there's many friends I have that are doing it on their own. But the point is, I feel like anything that sort of separates women in a time where women need each other.
Good point.
So like when I was pregnant with, or maybe my second daughter, somebody was like, now are you going to take maternity leave? And I don't know why it rubbed me the wrong way, but I'm like, why do you care?
Totally.
What
it's not your business.
Situation is? First of all, we should all be able to take as much leave as we can, which is not, I just found like that conversations around balance were inherently a little elitist. Like I worked in inner city DC and West Baltimore with parents who did anything for their kids, but also worked multiple jobs. And
of course,
you know, and nobody was like, so, hey, what's your balance situation? You know? So I found like, and also when I first had kids, I was like, when people are asking me about that, it made me feel like I was doing something wrong.
Right.
Because
there's guilt
the truth
inherent.
is you can't have it all.
Right.
Like what you said is so true. It's like something may suffer. And usually what it is our
mental health
and our mental health and our time to like, you know, somebody was like, will you take your shoes off? I'm like, I'll take my shoes off, but my toes look terrible. You know, like I'm like, I haven't had time to go get a pedicure. And that's,
listen, if I have time for a shower, it's exciting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's all fine.
It's sad.
It is sad. It's sad and fine.
Yeah. It's fine. Of course. We've made these choices.
And that is, and are you thrilled you made those choices
Me
with
too.
those?
Of course.
You know, and so, but no, and I also had a friend at work who was like, I don't know about having kids. I'm worried. And I will say, in my line of work, having kids has just enriched what we do. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
So I said to this person, I'm like, and also don't let work be the reason.
No.
You know?
No, I agree. I think you have to really deeply listen inside yourself about what you need to be happy.
Yeah.
And think about, you know, are you going to regret
not making a decision?
Right.
You know, Hoda's story is, and she wouldn't mind me saying this because she said it a million times, is she was walking with a friend who, and neither one of them had children, and they were in their like probably late 40s. And the friend said, I mean, you and I, we just never wanted kids.
Oh.
And she stopped and she like internalized it and stopped and was like, I mean, because nobody asked her, I don't think.
Right.
Because she hadn't had a partner.
Right.
And so I feel like, you know, and that this must resonate a little. It's like, oh, you must have a partner to do it. It's like, no, women can do things on
100%.
But she was like, wait, I actually do. And it was like the second she said it out loud, everything changed for her. And she's now adopted her 2 little girls.
It's so wonderful.
I know.
I do think it is really interesting, the trajectory of all of it. And I think everyone is so different, and you need to honor your own self and not be just, you know, trying to satisfy what the society wants or what your parents want or what your friends want or what your friends are doing.
Yes.
And luckily, I think partly because I was an actress and I lived here and then I lived in LA, I had people all over the board. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Older moms, younger moms, you know, non-moms, you know,
I feel that way too.
Yeah,
but like,
it helps.
I'm sure not everybody feels that way.
No, of course, but it helps to have. And I do feel, and I'm not 100% sure, but I do feel like now out in society, because of social media, you can find your group more so.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I hope. I hope that that's true.
I think you're right.
And I do feel like the worst thing I think could be doing something from a pressured place that you don't feel in your own gut.
Yeah.
Because parenting is no joke.
No, I know.
It is amazing,
I know.
but it is hard.
It's interesting because I won't feel bad about work mistakes or, you know, obviously if I've hurt somebody's feelings or something, you know, that hangs on me.
Right.
But I don't, if I'm like, you know, mess up on the prompter or whatever it is.
Right.
Ask a question that was dumb. I never think about it again.
Right.
I'll like stay up all night long. Not because I'm not a warrior, but
you have to think about the
thinking
decisions,
about my kids,
right?
Feeling, you know, if I'm like, and I'll say, you know, like to people like, God, I need more time here or there. I think about that way more than I do.
The mental weight of parenting is a lot. And I did not really realize that.
No, me neither.
Yeah. Cause two by myself. I mean, if you're not thinking about one, you're thinking about the other.
But you've also given them each other. I have a sister, and having a sister is the best.
And I didn't. I was a single child, and that's part of why I did it.
It's the best.
I wanted them to have each other.
My mom was an only child too, and so she was so thrilled to be able to have siblings. Because
talk about the book that you wrote with your mom.
Okay.
No, I want
with my sister. Actually, with my sister, which is exactly what I'm saying. But the gift.
Amazing.
There's this article called Frank Bruni. It's by Frank Bruni in the New York Times called "The Gift of a Sibling." And Barbara and I we just adore each other. And it's called "Love Comes First," and it's about that parental feeling of like it's called "I Loved You First." I just made up the title, but
that's okay.
You know, that feeling of having a child and thinking like, oh my gosh, like the amount of love is so infinite.
Absolutely.
And I think all humans have that, you know.
Absolutely.
That possibility.
And I think they have it, you know, whether it's their own child or other children
100%.
or their whatever is their creation.
Exactly.
Right? But I do love those books. We have a book about adoption that I believe is called something. Now I can't remember. It's like a baby version.
Yes.
About
like where love comes from or something?
Like the love is there and then I had to find you.
Yeah.
Which I think is great, whether you're having the baby in the traditional sense or adopting the baby.
Yes.
Because I do feel like that's true. You know, like there's a space in you that opens and then is filled by that child, and then it's way more than you expected.
Totally.
Yes.
And
that's
then
so beautiful.
Also
you wrote it
your
with your
heart's
sister.
Open for more.
Yes. It opens again. And I don't think there is a limit, really.
No.
And I know certainly I was a godmother before I was a mother. And my goddaughter, Arden, who I love so much, who I'd love to have on the show one day because I want to have like many generations, right? You know, I was auntie, and auntie's great.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah, it is. And important.
Yes.
Like really an important role for kids.
Because it's a different role and they can go to you with other things.
Yes.
And you provide a different kind of a safety zone than their own parents.
I mean, in this world and particularly now, I feel like we need as much love to go around as possible.
No joke. This is true. Well, I can't wait to get your book. Where can I get your book?
I'm like, you can get it at your indie bookstore. I'm like, I should have brought you one and I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. I love the indie bookstore. I have a good one in Brentwood I go to. Yeah.
I love an local indie bookstore.
Me too. Favorites. Cool. Let's do that.
They're so important for communities.
I know, for sure. And also you can find really unique things there, which is so nice. It's nice to just browse in a bookstore like the olden days. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, you are a joy.
Thank you,
Jenna.
Kristin.
Thank you for being here.
I loved being here. That was so fun,
right?
To relive that episode with
you. I know. And it's so trippy how related it all is and how many conversations you could have.
It's true.
Right?
This could have been a 12-hour podcast.
I'm Israel Gutierrez, and I'm hosting a new podcast, Dub Dynasty. The story of how the Golden State Warriors have dominated the NBA for over a decade.
The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions.
Today, the Warriors dynasty remains alive, in large part because of a scrawny 6'2" hooper who everyone seems to love.
For what Steph has done for the game, he's certainly on that Mount Rushmore.
Come revisit this magical Warriors ride. Listen to Dub Dynasty on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. I'm excited to share my podcast with you, Math and Magic, Stories from the Frontiers of Marketing. This week, I'm talking to the CEO of Moderna, Stefan Bancel, about how he led his team through unprecedented times to create, test, and distribute a COVID vaccine all in less than a year.
It becomes a human decision to decide to throw by the window your business strategy and to do what you think is the right thing for the world.
Join me as we uncover innovations in data and analytics, the math, and the ever-important creative spark, the magic. Listen to Math and Magic, Stories from the Frontiers of Marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Ever wonder what it would be like to be mentored by today's top business leaders? My podcast, This Is Working, can help with that. Here's some advice from Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, on standing out from the leadership crowd.
Develop your EQ. A lot of people have plenty of brains, but EQ is, do you trust me? Do I communicate well? Develop the team, develop the people, create a system of trust, and it works over time.
I'm Dan Roth, LinkedIn's editor-in-chief. On my podcast, This Is Working, leaders share strategies for success. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Tickets are on sale now, y'all, for our 2025 iHeart Country Festival, presented by Capital One, happening Saturday, May 3rd at the Moody Center in Austin, Texas. Don't miss your chance to see Brooks and Dunn, Thomas Rhett, Rascal Flatts, Cole Swindell, Sam Hunt, Megan Maroney, Bailey Zimmerman, Nate Smith. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.